Yo, my brain had a stroke trying to figure out where the fuck this song was from. My brain had a stroke trying to figure out where the fuck this song was from. Yeah, that's normal. But hi. Welcome. What did I just click on? Oh god, the music is clashing. Hi. I'm back on Voice SMP. For any reason? No. I just wanted to come on here. Because I miss playing Minecraft. So yeah, it's been a while. Don't ask what the fuck happened. Because I will not tell you what happened. Other than a bunch of shit. Yeah. But I have a podcast now. And I didn't add that in. My bad. I'm a little bit stupid. Yeah. I think the one thing is I probably fucking should finish up, you know, building my house. Getting on in a minute. Alright. I 100% think this is a, finishing my fucking house episode. Because, dear lord, do I need to. Yeah. I just hit my soda. Also, I'm really fucking tired. I went to bed, like, relatively loosely, relatively early. But then Gucci decided to be a goddamn menace and, make my living hells. This is just a reflection. Everything's actually purely white. Yeah. Gucci, I swear to God. Yeah, I was about to be like, this room's just white. It's just there's a lot of shadows. Also, hi, welcome to the stream. How you doing, Sush? Hi. Nope, you signed up for this. Ah, fuck. No, it's just called Gucci's in a box. That's on the bed. On the bed. On the counter, I meant. So he's being a menace. I swear to God. There we go, that should help it. I just fucking blinded myself. Need to put... No! Sushi doesn't need to go on a diet. He's just fluffy. Sushi's not big. Why are we bullying my fucking kid? Yeah, move your box off the fucking counter, bitch, so you don't fall the fuck off of it like you did earlier. Fuck! I swear to God, I speak English. He's fluffy on carbs. He's actually not. He's just really fucking big. What the fuck happened? I love seeing a reload error on shit where there should not be a reload error. Mother... He... Oh, hey, friend. I'll take that. I will not take this. Why the fuck did I put that there? Knowing I'm gonna have to build on it. Hey, I'll take those arrows, though. I have so many fucking quivers. Oh! What happened? Understandable. I'm just gonna go to sleep, finish this out. Cool, we're just gonna ignore those arrows. There's a second one. Why are you so fast? Oh. I hate that I instantly know what creepers sound like on this server. Any more want to scare the shit out of me? Any more? Shit. Make my life easier. I used to have a shovel. I don't know where the fuck it went. Yeah, this song doesn't hurt me whatsoever. Absolutely not. Also, shout out to Wayward, who immediately messaged me when I was, you know, just chilling and went, hey, I hope you know that they posted Undertale, or not Undertale, Deltarune the Musical on Spotify, and yeah. Thanks you. So now it's in this playlist. This playlist that is obscenely way too fucking long. I saw that I missed that. I don't need to hear it. Okay, hi Toby Fox. Welcome in. Ow, my knees. Damn it, I can't get rid of that box now, can I? Because they're being fucking adorable on it. Damn it. Give me the banner. That's what I wanted. Alright. That's Red Oak. Sakura. To be fair, I think I actually need to get more Sakura for... Yeah, I do. Okay. You are not having a fun time. Yes, my chests are very unorganized. Nah, I'm just building. Why? You need help, don't you? I got you. What was that gonna... Yeah, okay. Why'd I go to the map like I could see you? Fuck. I forgot how teleports work. You're gonna have to teleport me to you. What? What? see, I forgot how to do that. It's been a while. Ah. Thank you. Yo. Bro, I'm gonna be honest. The first time I saw the white ducks, it scared the shit out of me because I didn't seen them before. Ah. Found it. Oh, gotcha. Hi! You didn't startle me for a second. Excuse me? Copper ore still scares me. Motherfucker, what do you want? The cats are going crazy. You can hear them. My god. I found it! I fully lost you, I hope you know. Where did you go? Yeah, no problem. Hi. Do you need food? Here, take some steak. I got you. I have water. Fuck. zombie nearby. Cool. Don't mind me just dumping some stuff. What's up, Sush? The fuck is this? God, I'm so fast in water. What is this? What have I just discovered? Is this just a really fancy mine shaft? Yes, it is. I'll take the bread. I love how you can tell I don't play often. Because I get excited by fancy things. Oh. I genuinely thought an arrow was shot at me. Listen, cause bats are jump scary. The bats know how to cause some jump scares. I just realized I could have done /spawn that entire time and just made my life a little bit easier. Oh god. I forgot I hit that. I see that first. I see that little first. There's a piece of hair sticking in my nose. I see that. Hello, friend. Going to sleep. I'm not dealing with this at night. Okay, I didn't see nothing. I'm blind. Which is very true. I don't got my glasses. I forgot I have a bundle within a bundle within a bundle. Yes, I ate. I had food. I do need to get more food in a little bit, but yes, I ate. Yes, I actually had. That might have been a terrible mistake, but oh well. Ignore that I'm drinking a soda and there's no water to be found. I swear I had water. Must be a new thing. Not when I devoured a bag of sunflower seeds last night, so I kind of do need the water. I built this in a very terrible spot, but oh well. Is this fucking... It is. Took me a second. I was like, wait a second, this melody sounds familiar. What is that melody? Can you also tell I've been playing way too much fucking Overwatch?
Oh, fuck me. God damn it. No, listen. How fucking long did I make that shit? I didn't say. Fuck. I think it's 10 minutes. I don't have my phone.
Where the fuck is my phone? I'll reset the timer, but where the actual fuck is my phone? Hold up. Hey. Oh my god, sushi's in a box. I got it. No, why didn't you take my phone? Okay, in all seriousness, I need to find my phone. You think it would be on this giant counter where all my shit is. It's not. Sushi, you want my phone? I found it. Sushi was, in fact, on my phone. Hi! I'm at the timer, but you're... Nope, Sushi doesn't want to get picked up. See, as much as I trust you fucks, I don't trust you when it comes to a timer.
Alright, it's set, you motherfuckers. It's set. I'm gonna say something. There is literally 1, 2, 3, 4. There is 4 laptops on this fucking counter. And only 2 of them are mine. And there's a Gucci. There's a Gucci. Hi, Sushi. What do you want?
Let's not eat my notebook. That's...
Yeah, exactly. That's why. I got trust issues, man. Those shits go deep. I think I need more... Yeah.
Time to go chop down my garden of rainbow trees. As I get a YouTube notification. Also, who the fuck is a fan of Mortal Kombat and saw the trailer? Yes, welcome everyone to my fucking garden of rainbow. Is it gonna bite me in the ass? Oh, or not. Yeah, or not. Shit. I genuinely thought that was gonna bite me in the ass. Oh my god, it's Winnie the Pooh! Ah! Alright. Okay. I just pulled an Ashley Johnson and did it the... How much? That's good enough. That's perfect. It's what I need. Also, I was not kidding. Literally, welcome to the fucking rainbow. You can literally just have to look at the map and you can see that I have a very small rainbow developing. I have to figure out how to make those mushrooms grow that I found. I'll figure out the door situation later.
Trust me, my dear, that's how fast I leave you.
Also, I swear I'm not trying to not talk. I swear I'm not. It's just my brain's just quiet. Brain quiet, thoughts empty. What the fuck? Okay, that's becoming a TikTok. Okay. I'm gonna really have to start plowing through this. Please tell me I have more deep slate. For once, I'm actually okay with the deep slate. There's a new Coke? What the fuck do you mean there's a new Coke? Ignore the amount of diamond armor. That was because shit happened. I accidentally grabbed the pants instead of the boots. Huh. Does it actually come in? Does it actually have Coke this time? Does it have the other thing that will make my brain go fuzzy? Also, time to bring back my band kit era. Nice. Yeah, if you didn't know, I played the flute growing up, so I'm allowed to make the funny little haha band joke. I forgot I had bombs. Nothing bad will happen when I have bombs. Nothing bad will happen, I swear. Things just need to start coming out with new... Every day there's a new something that I don't know about. And I'm just like, when the fuck was this a thing? Like the new Coke flavor, I didn't know that was happening. The fuck happened? Why did I just skip? Swear to God, I accidentally hit Fin instead of Shift. I swear I made a shovel. I just don't know where the fuck that shovel is.
But oh well, it's whatever the fuck it's doing. It's doing its life.
Rude, but also very true. Yeah, you will slowly lose brain cells watching me. When the fuck did I get more torches? I need an enchantment table. Fuck. Don't smoke, kids. Okay. Now the question is, what the fuck do I want to make the roof out of? I also have to do the ceiling! I have redwood. I did not mean to hit that. I found out what I want to do for the roof. Did I unironically just make a bisexual house, even though I'm no longer bi? I think I did. Well, fuck it. Oh yeah, by the way, if you didn't know, hi, women. I think women are pretty, so hi. I went from fuck me. Of course. The gay is here. Yes. Listen, I thought we had the discussion. I'm three fruity flavors of the LGBT. I hate myself. I absolutely fucking hate myself for that joke. Fair enough. Yeah, if you're not on my social media, hi, I like women and only women. I think they're really pretty, so, do with that information what you will. Oh, I'm free. Thank God. Fuck. I'm 5 parts? Ayo! Welcome back. I can't wait for the next stream when my brain hits the final stage of my LGBT and I just hit a point where I'm just like, hey, by the way, I'm this, have fun. I see my cats losing their shit over this box in the corner of my eye. And I think it's really funny. And then meanwhile, I'm just like, yes, just don't eat the, you know, the plants I bought. Because I'm pretty sure one of them is highly poisonous to cats. Oh my God. I was like, where did the bell go? I forgot I made this out of amethyst. This also needs more lighting. But also, I made this ceiling way too small, so, we might do some fun things. Oh, thank God. But then I lose all of these, unless I could shear them. I love how you can actively, progressively tell, shit, how long I've not touched Minecraft. Because I've been playing fucking Stardew too often. I need Silk Touch, and I don't have Silk Touch. Oh no. Unless I have more glowberries. Which I don't think I do. I have a single glowberry. Oh. That's gonna be our next quest, is to go find some glowberries. I also might make this particular section of this wall, with like fireproof wood, because I'm gonna put lava down. And I frankly don't want my entire house fucking burning to the ground. Bat cave. Oh fuck, I have to work with Nightbot more. Oh, also, I might have to restart my Deltarune and Undertale stream that I've been doing, because Katie hasn't fucking played them. I'm waiting for the upcries of who the fuck has not played Undertale. Katie hasn't. Nice. So yeah, if you randomly see my a new Deltarune like gameplay pop up, it's Katie's fault. Like, I don't even care that I'm in the middle of beating that one motherfucker's ass. I will lose an entire world just for Katie to play. Yeah, I will say this. I get really quiet when I build shit, just because my brain has to go through the little funny, oh, haha, we have to focus. The fuck you mean I'm out? What do you mean? Well, shit. Oh. I was like, the fuck you mean I'm out of amethyst? Oh, what did you find? Did you accidentally find, like, a boss thing? Let me quickly finish this ceiling and then I'll teleport to you. I finished the ceiling. Oh, did you find the really fancy mine shaft? I didn't grab the fucking wood. I don't want to hear it. Gucci missed the counter. Are you okay? Are you okay? He's embarrassed. Gucci accidentally got on top of one of the laptops instead of the counter. My poor boy. Please don't break pick. Ding dong, the king is dead. God, I felt that. God, I felt that. God, I felt that to an unhealthy degree. Like, not even a funny haha, and an actual, unironically, I relate to that. That's another shit and shit. Sleep. The thing is with me in this SMP is I'm on, okay, scratch the time I was filming something where I physically could not get online. I'm on, like, very little, but a lot of times I'm more off. Let me rephrase. I played this off more offline than anything, and also I play it way too fucking late. I do. That might be a V, not you know game. So it's just, it sounds familiar to me. I forgot to grab another amethyst for that. Thank you, Amethyst, for making pretty sound when I move it. That makes my brain go fucking burr. I have a lecture. Do it. Give me a lecture. Also, yes, I moved my computer that I read chat with over here because there's a fucking mess over here. You know, it covers this entire room. I'm not gonna be mad about it. I couldn't tell if I just heard a cat meow or not. Where are my children? Who's in the box? It's Sushi in the box. At least I think it is. Yeah, it's Sushi. Gucci's just being a fucking menace, like he always is. God, I was about to say, I need to find a village. I have a village. I have seen it. I don't remember. It's been a while. So I found a... Excuse me? You found a what? Oh. You found the fucking what? Welcome to I just want to live out my cottagecore life. Leave me alone. Is the island... I think it was the Connect 4. Does the island... Does... Fuck. Is the big island my mom's calling? Oh god. Which means she's on the way. Does a big island fucking have, like, purple? Yeah, because I know there's one big island that someone has built that's like purple. What the fuck is the Halloween Woods? I think I know where you are, yeah. Holy shit. Hi. Yep, I knew it. I was like, wait, I know exactly what you're talking about, but it was not called lore. Alright. Actually, wait, I can put the barrels in here. There we go. Shit. Or not. I'll just put that right there for now. Shit. Also, please ignore these. Surprisingly, no. But that's also because I'm friends with other people who say some of the most out-of-pocket shit that sometimes make me go, what the fuck? Actually, I should probably do a test to see if this is flammable. Also, I'm friends with Tubbs. Y'all don't hear some of the insane shit this man says. Ow. Soul, Wayward, V, Mysterious Mage V, even though... What? Atlas, Eternity, and Katie. There's a reason why Katie is called the sane one. Alright, cool, it's flammable. Or it's... Yo, who the fuck is posting shit? Never mind. Understandable. Have a good day. I know exactly who's posting shit. Do you want me to go there? I forgot I can't do this anymore. The sane one? That's Katie's role on that's Katie's role. In the server. Give me 1 second to do this wall and then I'll teleport. Like, she's called the sane one because she's the sane one. Yes, it is! That's Katie's role on the server. She's the sane one. Yeah. I was like, I swear to God, because I know because it was Soul who changed it. Oh, I've been here before. Oh yeah, this is where I ended up after I found something I wasn't supposed to, and we were just like, oh fuck. Oh yeah, I was like, wait a second. I need to bully a villager in this. Right, I need a bucket of lava. Which will not be hard to get. Because it's not like I have a portal or anything within a walking distance that I made. But yeah, no, if you think for a second that I could have just used the warp, but it's fine. If you think for a goddamn second that we are not slightly deranged outside of what you see on the server, you're wrong. I'm severely embarrassed I just got that achievement. Why am I in a toxic heap? The fuck is this? It's just terracotta. I must have walked in the lava. You know, I fully deserve that. Yeah, no, I fully deserve that for talking shit. You would be amazed. You know what? No, my manager. My manager thought I was completely sane, and then he saw the group chat. No, my manager saw the Stray Wanderers group Twitter, and immediately looked at me and said, "What the fuck?" And I looked at him and I said, "What the fuck did you expect out of me?" No need too long to be stupid. Yeah, he looked me dead at the eye and said, "What the fuck?" And I said, "Are you surprised?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Well, welcome to what the fuck you signed up for." Ah! What the fuck is there, Phantom? I'm not saying he actually scared the shit out of me, but I need you to get the fuck out of my face. How the fuck did you even get here? I also scared the shit out of Gucci. So that was fun and exciting. Why is there wood? Where did he come from? What the fuck? I'm too lazy to get the fuck back up there. I clicked on the village instead of the fucking... instead of my hobbit hole. I was about to say, I swear to God, I did not just jump. I severely need to find mending. I'll take that. Fucking Batcave. It's the motherfucking Batcave. Oh, hi. For the Batcave counter. Shit. I was about to say, I generally don't think my usual texture pack is in here. Yeah. I just fucking, something just sat on my cord. See how that works. Don't fucking crash my game. Trying to listen, I have 2 cats. I don't like men. I've been in way too many shitty ass relationships that my dating history makes me look like a dumbass. I have 3. Well, we have pets. That works. Let's see what else. I play way too many video games. I don't go to sleep until very late. I'm now getting into witchcraft. I do tarot cards for a living. I'm a college student. I have an unhealthy obsession with energy drinks. By the way, I will go get an energy drink. I have a bird brain mentality that I literally collect soda tabs for a living. You can't bring education into this. I can and I will because I'm a fucking dumbass and my school makes me want to throw hands. Come on. Fuck. Yeah, someone else is gonna have to like that. I have a stupidly large crystal collection. I always want to throw hands with everyone. Yeah, well, true.
Hi. Hi, buddy. Hi, Miss Sush. Sush. Hi.
I think I'm gonna crash my Minecraft. I almost accidentally just kicked the sushi.
Hi, buddy.
Shut the fuck up.
Hi.
Hi, you can be. Oh my god. The fuck did I do? Oh, I'm stupidly blind. Like, in the sense that I cannot see. Monster Energy go burr. About to be like, I can't tell if my Spotify is just a little bit too quiet. Ooh. Ooh. The answer is yes. Oh, it's an actual flint and steel. Okay. I hate it. Spigas. Is he a YouTuber? It sounds familiar, but I don't think I know who that is. Oh, my OBS did the stupid thing where it decides to freeze frame, but the video is still going, so that's great. I haven't had, wow, oh, fuck. Shit. Yep, no, take that off, please. Oh, Astral Spiff? Fuck yeah, I know who that man is. I was like, wait a second. Yes, I love him. I think I was watching his video. Like, I was watching his video before I record the podcast, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, wait. Okay, yeah, I know who that is. Spig. Now, I'm pretty sure he helped me get me through finals because I would watch his, I would watch his Security Breach 600, like the full VOD. It got me through. It was just something that made me focus. I'm not gonna say what that notification is because it will fucking expose my ass. Oh no. There we go. That shouldn't burn. Hopefully. He's such a cool guy. And I'm honestly happy for him and Paige. I'm honestly not like a VODs person. That's just my like personal thing, but I do like watching their videos. I've caught a couple of their streams. Do I have the dragon? Anyone see the fucking Lovejoy brilliant thing? I have to grow this on Endstone, don't I? Oh, let me throw it. Give me it. I don't know that. There's an otter near me. Hope the salt water ruins your clothes, and I hope you spend the rest of your life sleeping alone. All this over a kiss. Ah, shit. I need like an action. God damn it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know who that is. You get what you need, all this. It's all just the same. It's all just a game. Have it my way. Sleep on the concrete. Don't what you say to me. 'Cause I'm not sure. I'm not sure you let me up easily. This is gonna be a fun adventure because I don't know where the fuck the most recent, like, the dark area is of this. So we're about to have fun. I have to pee. That sounds fun. Alright, I gotta use the bathroom really quickly. Please do not set arson to my godforsaken chat. Let there be, I click on like, fucking, let there be lights. Hi. 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 Oh, look at the sushi. Look at my son. Look at how cute he is. You want to do gang warfare bear again? The fuck is that? Are you coming in or not? You know what? Fuck it, Luigi. You're coming to the bathroom. Actually, shit. I need you guys need to move though. I need to shut the door. No. You can't do that, no. Outside. Do not drink out the fucking toilet. No. Go get. Go get. This is why you made a lot in the bathroom. Oh my god. Ah shit, I didn't make I didn't make a pride cake that I meant to. We'll do a late one. It's only the 6th. Because I technically would have done the week stream. I would have taken this week off. I could honestly make a gay cake sometimes next week. But the question is, if I wake up in time, no gay cake, I will make a fucking gay cake. It just won't be during Pride. I fucking will. It is a tradition I do a cooking stream. What the fuck type of... Oh, it's scorched. That's right. End. Wait, there's an end. Better end portal. Warp. Wait, I actually figured out how to get this going. I just need to get the things. It requires so much shit that they made 50 times harder. Okay. I love how you can 100% tell. I've done... Be funny as hell. The funny thing, the one thing about this is that I don't record. The fuck is this? Oh, it's underground. Is that I don't fully record with like the face cam and everything. So you would just hear an audio. Actually, I could. I could do that. That's an Enderman. Is that an Undertale reference? What the fuck did I just say? That could be an Undertale reference. Sushi, I see you being needy. Oh my god. Oh, this is Marcus's theme. I was like, wait, this sounds... My brain was just like, this sounds so familiar, yet I cannot pinpoint it. Oh, shit. Oh, okay, cool, it's over there. Ow. Listen, I just make vague, like, Undertale the Musical references and then Deltarune references. Oh shit, my pick's gonna break. That's not fun. Also, I'm so sorry you have to hear the disgustingness. But yeah, this is the sound my shoe makes, and I despise it with every fiber of my being. Did you rip a Polaroid? I burnt a Polaroid, I never ripped one. Go there. Yeah. It's literally still on my phone. It wasn't even someone knocking. My mom just came home.
Da! Food! So what did you get today?
I got...
Did you vacuum already?
No. The kitties have just haven't been too chaotic today.
The bean?
No.
Really?
Yeah, they've been good. They mostly just slept, and then I brought them a box, and then everything went to hell and back.
Okay. Money.
How could you go vacuum?
Huh?
My chat's yelling at me to go vacuum.
Yeah.
Do I have self-touch in any of these books?
Hi!
Soul Siphon, Protection 2,
What are you trying
Sweeping
to-
Edge 3.
You pie your pa? You trying to pie your pa?
The fuck? I was like, what the hell? What is
No, he uses back one to
Oh.
scratch his foot one.
Yep.
It's so funny.
it? Yeah, go vacuum, Ren.
Yeah.
Don't agree with chat. Oh, by the way, I have a... Oh, shit. Shit.
You have more shit?
Get back here. No, I have a blue axolotl. I don't have the one thing I need, which is a Silk Touch book. Someone in Spawn has to have
What
one.
are we gonna eat?
I have leftover pizza.
Oh, you do.
It's about to be like, I guarantee someone at Spawn has books.
I told you there's gonna be huge bags.
Oh yeah.
Look, that one. I don't know which one is this one, but I remember I had like a chamomile and then that one, I think, lavender.
No. No. Chad agrees with Mother Rin. This is Mother Air, not Mother Rin.
The book. Ah. Pizza. What's gonna have pizza? And I have.
Burst out flame. I don't need to... My ears. Ow.
Sorry. Well, I had to make sure I.
Look. Nope, fair enough.
Oops. What happened? John got up that thing. Yes. Oh, space is
Ooh. Alright. Yeah, no, there's gotta be someone who's selling...
Ooh, where's you selling?
I'm looking for enchantment books. Oh, that's a cat.
Oh. Oh, yes. I forgot that little
That's a cat roo if I ever seen a cat roo. You are adorable and I love you.
Huh?
I found something very cute.
Man.
This also just gives me the opportunity to fucking explore these buildings because I'm never here enough.
Oh my gosh, Valerie.
Crunk shop.
Hey,
Bottle of enchantment.
child.
Huh.
Have you heard a song Peaches by
Yes.
Blackjack?
Yes, I have. Peaches by, yeah, I have. It became an internet thing. It was great.
It's crazy. So Jaina sent me one this morning. I was like, why you called me the bot? He goes like, it's not the bot.
Please place parent in the same slot as you took from. If anything's out of stock, you want to do reassign. Okay, wait.
I was like, what the hell
I'm breaking
is
3.
that thing about?
Our 10 diamonds. This is a lovely shop.
Oh,
I love
you
your position.
have a pizza?
I have pizza. Which is better, the theory? Game, film, food, or style?
Oh, cheese.
Fuck. I haven't seen the food, so I can't say anything about that. I have also haven't seen style. I kind of grew up on game, so I might have to go with game. Ooh, this is beautiful. It's my completely unbiased opinion. One stack of blocks.
Unbiased opinion. How long you been streaming for?
An hour 30. Listen, I also recorded a podcast today, so I'm just like,
Yay, you exhausted?
my brain's
Did your tongue fall off yet?
not yet.
Okay.
Too long.
Too long? Your tongue too long to fall off? Gotcha.
No, my chat's yelling at me.
What's that?
The chat is yelling at me. There's a pet center? That's a bear! We gotta get the fuck. You're the only one chalking in chat. The mod team is just doing their own thing. Not open yet, undone building, but I need animals work in progress.
Susie, why you're so cute?
Bow and arrow shop.
Did you get the book too?
Yeah.
When did you order it? Today?
Same day.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's very pretty. Other one. Exactly.
Yeah. Luna.
Yeah, look at my book that's soon gonna become the witchcraft book where everything is going to be talked about. Oh, I don't think you got.
The cat's paw.
Yeah, Gucci tried to jump on the counter, he missed and he slid off.
Good.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't kidding because mother came home. But yeah, here's Astral Swift's video I was watching literally before.
Mother come home.
No, I was watching it before I started the podcast. Hi, baby. That's an otter. Kosa says hi.
Hi. Hello. Hello. Ooh, ooh.
You could make cornbread in this game? I always love doing the water. Good sir, I need silk touch. I need silk touch. Oh shit, no, give me my shaders back.
Say again.
There we go. No, I think I might have misclicked one of my buttons and my microphone in-game was playing. So people would just hear me say, I need silk touch. That's the bakery. Who the fuck builds with bedrock? Oh my god.
Loud.
I'm tempted to go upstairs, but I know much cooler than Ren. Aw. Well, I mean, yeah, my mom's Russian, so yeah, she's cooler.
She's what?
Oh, chat saying how you're cooler than me. Alright, looks like I have to go on my own little adventure to find, some very, very lovely... No, damn it. Okay. Actually, wait, let's see. I have a village.
Oh, those are debts.
The one thing is, I don't think there's a librarian in this village, so we'll have to might build a little thing. You are a tiny child. Well, I'll take it. Oh, that was rice. I actually do need to grow rice in this. I wasn't saying that to you, I was saying that to the villager. The villager is incredibly tiny. Alright. Actually, shit, you're not what I need. I got excited. It's a joke. I know. I got excited for no reason. Oh, fuck. Okay. I accidentally hit I, because again, I've been playing way too many other games. Because, what the fuck are you? That's not ominous as fuck. Lectern, how the I need a bookcase in. Oh, God. That scared the shit out of me. It's like, who the fuck is talking? Okay. So I don't even think I have books. I look at you and see another freak. Strawberries? I got strawberries. What you thinking? Susie's eating all the school supplies. Susie can't just laze on by. You will pay for all I don't notice this is thinking matter. Coke. Congratulations. I'm done for. Christ, you know it's true. This potion's wasted on a snack or two. So before you pull the trigger, like I know you'll do, you'll try something more.
Why don't I just get expelled for some real carnage? Chris, how do you feel about
I need to find a cow.
face?
I love how I said this episode I'm gonna finish the house. I did some of it. It's fine. For mom tells me there's a child. I know where there's a bunch of cows that I don't want to go to.
So don't be stupid and
I'll choke down the file.
while you're stuck here.
Excuse me? Ow. Fucking excuse me? I don't even think I have paper either. Welcome to the time I need shit I don't have. Again, I know there's a place I can go kill cows. Don't question it. I'm not going to. I'm just not gonna go kill those cows. Because they're the mushroom cows. Oh, it's a fox. And it has something in its mouth that I can't see. I love how I'm doing all of this, and yet the villager might not even have Silk Touch. So this might honestly just be a huge waste of my goddamn time. But it's fine. Huh. Okay, I'll accept it. Listen, I learned just not to, don't question a lot of things. I hate how my trail of thought went to, do you think otters drop leather? I'm severely disappointed in myself for me asking that question. The Bat Cave. I'm not gonna kill the otters. I just hate myself that that was where my thought process went. Again, I hate myself more the fact that that's where my thought process went to. Can I? That's a duck. Again, these white ducks scare the shit out of me. For no reason other than I've not seen... Oh god, no. Not again. Not again. I can't go explore another Badlands. Again, I'm not gonna murder the otters. Crabs. Oh, hello there, Mr. Butterfly. I actually got... Oh, okay. Hello, goodbye. Hello, the stream is blessed by the same round. Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by. Go have fun. God bless other streamers. Thank you? Dang, I don't know how to say. The fuck is that? Bro, the fucking... I swear I don't have trauma from fucking, quicksand. I swear I don't. I mean, I love it, but like, damn, I was not expecting it. We got a... My first reaction was, oh shit, is that a, Is that a... Media channel clip pop off. That's what I need to make. We're just not gonna fuck with the lions. Nah. Nah. Listen, I'm a dumbass. I fucking need to make a clips channel. Nah, we ain't gonna fuck with that. I'm leaving. I'm going towards them. I honestly do. All my clips are like stored. Understandable, I know that feeling. As expected. Yeah, I swear to God we changed it where you can post clip links, but I guess not. I'm pausing my Spotify for a little bit. I'm not gonna kill the otters. I just hate myself. I just hate. The fucking cutoff for hate. Is Susan okay? Is one of my favorite clips so as of recently. It's just, is Susan okay? You're another lion. Yo, you're a rhino, fuck that! No! Am I going towards... Is it a cat? Oh, it's an emerald! Oh shit, it's an emerald!
Put their hands on my kids. Please come outside so I can peacefully break your legs.
Hi, emerald! I almost... Oh, god damn it, I did raid instead of shout out again. Hi, friends. Welcome in. How is stream? How's everything going? I'm chilling out at Moist. I'm trying to find a cow to kill. That's literally just not the plan. What did you do? What did you do? Who did you torture? Hello. Hi, Ninja. Welcome, welcome. Coming in. I see that. I see that. Thank you again, Renee. Renee, funnily enough, I have a character named after you in one of my books. Ah, interesting. Who raged? Yes, I'm drinking a Monster at almost 9 o'clock in the morning. Shush. Morning? Night, I meant. I swear I have a brain. My brain just doesn't want to work today. Ah. We love that. Gotta love unbeatable things in games. You just gotta love it. Badass, awesome, amazing. She's a shapeshifter witch, so yes. She causes chaos, so yes. The fuck did I just find? Oh no. Oh yeah, no, fuck that. She's a slight menace to society, but in the end we love her. Do I really want to go try this? No, I don't. The fuck I don't. I'm tempted. I'm tempted. Shit. Oh yeah, no, not at nighttime. Hunting cows. Thank you again, Renee. Menace Society sounds like... yeah. Yeah, as expected. So then that... Why is there 2 bosses? The fuck? Why is the llama angry at me? What did I do? Who took at the beds? Who murdered the village? What the fuck? Oh. A lot of bad guys. I have not done the damn, they really rated. Damn. Okay. Yeah. Big scary. Big scary even though I have good art. No, no, fuck those creepers. Nah, we go in the opposite direction. No thank you. No thank you, chief. I don't have a bed. Oh, fuck the spider. Yeah, no. The water might become a safe friend. Water might just become my friend. Light post. This path might be futile because it seems like someone was already here. But good sir, I just need a cow. I just need some leather. I swear, I'm not gonna murder the otters. I can't do that to myself. See, I keep finding the other animals that I don't need. Is that a fucking giraffe? Now the funny thing is, can I ride said giraffe? Damn, that'd be really funny if I could. Just on my quest for a, on my quest, I just start riding a giraffe. Give me. I do need to grow my, my kiwi farm, or my farm in general, so kiwis give. That's enchanted. I'm not fucking with that. Oh, this is someone's house. That's fun to see. That just leads to more Badlands, which I don't want to fucking deal with, because fuck the Badlands and... What is that? Yeah, to fuck. Sleep. Alright, yeah, go to sleep. I just got fucking cocked blocked. Yeah, go to sleep. If it's super late, go to sleep. I do not care. Go. Don't be a me and be a stupid. I unironically found the mob farm. I did not mean to, but I did. I love just unintentionally finding things. No. I was about to be like, let me go explore. No, girl, you... No. No. I'm not dealing with that. No. I thought that was a spawner for a second. I was like, why the fuck is there a spawner? Game, please. I just need a singular cow. May I be blessed with just a cow? Please, I don't want to have to resort to stabbing an otter. Just the way this Minecraft music and my normal music is just hitting different. Oh, hi, your friends. Both of you don't have a trident, so you're useless to me. And my foot's asleep. I just bit my tongue. So many things just happened in the span of 10 seconds. How fucked is my map? There we go. I was like, I just want to be able to see where I'm swimming. Are those koi fish? I somehow saved a koi fish. I don't know how, but I did. Okay. I now have a bucket of a koi fish. I feel like I've been here before. I'm sorry. Oh, those are bridges. Alright. I have been here before. We're just gonna head this way. That was a really aggressive slam. Hey, Fred! No.
He suck my dick.
Fucking tiny ass cactus. This has to do a lovely little spin. To make sure I was going the right... What the fuck? Oh! Holy shit! Whoa! This is actually my first time finding one of these. Listen, I'm not saying bone blocks make my brain go burr, but bone blocks make my brain go burr. And this is my first time ever finding a fossil, so I'm allowed to be a little bit happy. Bone blocks, bone blocks, bone blocks. I think this is also the longest the server has not crashed. I got a stick. Bone blocks. I must sound really psychotic. Being really happy that I found bone blocks. Someone's just gonna come by and see this and just be like, someone found something, and be like, yeah, I found bone blocks. At least I found something on this journey. That's also just more exploration. Oh my god. Oh my god. Sup, ducks? What in the ever-loving fuck did I just find? A really cool biome that's been explored. I think that's neat. I should have brought a waypoint instead of it, just in case if shit happened. Koi fish! Damn it, it's 9 o'clock. It's been 2 hours. God damn it, I'm in a Badlands. I don't want to be here. Hold up, something does not look normal. I'm not sacrificing a bone block. Did my Spotify break? Oh no, it's just really one of those quiet songs I have. My bones! No, I'm kidding. I already have enough bones. Just run through. Just run through. It will be fine. Just run fucking through. Ignore the spider chasing you. Just run. Somehow avoid the hole. This is fine. Everything's fine. Everything is A-okay. Everything is not okay. Everything is okay. Everything's not okay. Get me the fuck out of this biome! What song is this? Oh. Gotcha. Listen, that was just a shit ton of Persona. As much as I love that game, that music does slightly make me want to go insane. Please, Gitsa, I just need a single cow. That's not what I need. Those are turtles and they are adorable, but that's not what I need. Gutsa, please, but a crumb. But a crumb, please. I'm gonna hit the fucking border. I'm gonna hit the border. If I hit the border by the end of this, I swear to God. It must be the most ominous thing, is just chilling underwater and then hearing someone fucking eat. Nope, I was like, oh, that looks pretty. It's fucking glow squid. Fuck whoever decided to make glow squids be more annoying. No. Never mind. Never mind. We're not gonna do that. We're just gonna go in the opposite direction. That's not my first time fucking finding iron ingots. It can't be. You are not my least favorite viewer. You're one of my favorite viewers. I have to use the bathroom. Cows? That's an island, but it's also almost lies. You are! I swear, the voice cracking was not intentional. You are one of my favorite viewers. Game, why do you spite me? Why do you forsake me? Yeah, what this made out of? Rock of quartz. No. Fuck that. I'm flattered. I went to move my leg. Holy shit, that was pain. Hi, Sushi. Why are you looking at me weird? Sushi's looking at me like I just killed God. What's up, buddy? I also have to pee. It's about to become nighttime. My foot's asleep. Everything's going wrong. Land? The fuck? Not what I need. I need a cow. You're drowned. Oh, it's a village. Just normal. Cow! I'm just a fan of just normal Coke. My entire leg's asleep, but I have to pee. I thought I just broke something. I almost hit play recording. That would have been bad. Hi, monster.
Sushi.
Hi. Oh god, my foot is like asleep. If you stay underwater too long, you may drown, unless you have armor. Dragons are dangerous when provoked? Yeah, no shit. Which means that there's dragons. What did you just try to clip? Okay. What's that? It's Gucci. No, you're not going to the bathroom. I let you in once and you almost caused chaos. You made a new clip. Oh god, I almost broke something. It's a normal cow. Cow! Listen. Yes. Listen, we've been here for too long looking for cows so I can get leather. Okay, this is a rare moment. Because for some godforsaken reasons, cows just don't fucking exist.
Those are spiders. Fuck that shit.
Holy shit, there's a wart. There's a... Huh. Well, in case I die, I have a way to get back. I'm not surprised. I'm sorry, there's a fucking what Coke? Sorry, I got really quiet because it's nighttime. I'm trying not to fucking die thousands of blocks away from my house. Honestly, I'm not surprised there's a League of Legends Coke. There's a stray. Shit. Did I just find a snow? Oh, I just found another snowy biome. Shit. Now the funny thing is, I could. Fuck that. No. Yeah, absolutely fuck not. No. Oh shit, welcome back! Hi, welcome back. Smitty video, because why not? Understandable. Smitty is... Why did it sound like someone was breathing on my neck? Damn it, Rin. Listen. Listen. Where the fuck do you think I get my slightly dark humor from? Slightly. I had my dark humor before I started watching Smitty. He just amplified it. Actually, no. Blame fucking Blarg and Grizzy for that shit. And Puffer. Started watching those motherfuckers and my humor just went boop. Exactly. Exactly. Listen, I found them after I left the Dream SMP and it just went fucking downhill. Gimme. What can I sacrifice? Fuck the monocle. Smitty's number one, honestly. Not he'll sometimes say some out-of-pocket shit. Sometimes. Especially when the Mario Kart happens. Nah, it's over. Now this is just me hitting the border, because I'm a funny little haha. Amen. Bananas only, banana only. When did half my soundtrack just become Stray music? Like, no hate, I'm just wondering. Because I fucking love Stray, sped around the game. What? Shit. I have to be careful. Damn it, autocorrect. Ah yes, autocorrect, my worst enemy. I don't know if that's a village or like a hut. No. No, I think I know what that is, and we're gonna continue. Yeah. Yeah. No, I was applying for something, and my brain had a brain fart, and I forgot how to spell a word. And my autocorrect was just like, what the fuck are you trying to type? So even autocorrect failed, was disappointed to me today. My god, it's almost 9:30 and I've only found 2 cows. At this point, we're just gonna hit the border. That's the goal now. Fuck them cows, border. I went to scratch my ear and my headphones almost came off. No, these are sheep. God damn it, get me the fuck out. I don't want that on my record. Every mod's just gonna be like, what the fuck? My mods are cool. They're just like, yeah, nah, we're not gonna. I was normal, and then I went down a rabbit hole of watching a guy who made me laugh, and then I got to his friends, and everything just went downhill. I don't even remember how the fuck I found, like, Grizzy and all of them. I think it just happened. Is this a village? Oh, this is a really fancy ass village. Bat cave. Bat cave. That didn't scare the shit out of me. Oh yeah, this is just a really fancy fucking village. Yes, actually I can't make that joke. I literally just came out. I was about to be like, I literally came out this stream. Give me my godforsaken torch back. Persian! It's
the sushi.
This is actually a nice village. I will never be able to make that good of a jump ever again. Oof. I'm trying not to bitch slap a villager. Give me a fucking bread. I can sacrifice a blue. Just remember, there's a Drone Speed, the Markiplier, then Jet Lag, then it was Smitty, Barty, Lizzie, and Puffer. Nah, I'm in hell. I still watch Markiplier religion. I think, look, okay, first, for me, it was Skyda's Minecraft. And then I dipped off the internet. Like, I didn't pay attention to it. And then I think... I actually don't know. I just remembered Skyda's Minecraft being, like, one of, like, the really, like, big YouTubers I watched. And now look at what he's done. Now I turn out to be a piece of shit. I can make a baked potato. This is a baked potato. Bitch, that is a baked potato. What the fuck are you saying? Oh yeah, no, Stampy was definitely one of them. Why is there a dirt block? We're not gonna question. Is that a rhino? Oh, I just found a church. Never mind. No, we're not allowed in there. I'm 1000% not allowed in there. I know what song this is. Alright. I'm just gonna set the spawn. I think I'm... Okay, what song is this? Ooh. Hop in. Enemies. God, we found something in common. We just have a shit ton of fucking YouTubers in common. Alright, it's almost 10 o'clock. I need to get food. This is where we're gonna end stream here. Why the fuck does Spotify make shit more annoying? Let's see. Who the fuck is live? Funny enough, Grizzy is live. Bye, Crit. Thank you. But funny enough, so is Goddess. And Goddess is drunk. Ooh, but also Emerald. No, my other computer's gonna die as well. That'd be funny. We go raid Grizzy? Funny little haha, go raid Grizzy? Bet. Do not test me, I'll fucking do it. I'm stupid enough that I will raid him. I may not get noticed, and I really don't care if I do. But yeah, what the fuck is today? Thursday? Funny haha shit. I'll be live tomorrow, hopefully. I don't fucking know. That was loud as shit. But yeah, I'm gonna go make food. I'm gonna go chill. I'm gonna go spend some time in some things and then go call up people to play Stardew with. Bye.